Oh, baby, your bulge is so big. What is up, sapiosexuals? You're listening to Sex in South Beach with America's sex educator, Dr. Sonjia. And you know that almost rhymes with fire and desire. And I'm shouting out to you from the sexiest city in America, South Beach, baby. So let's get down to the nitty gritty. The sex situation we're getting into right now is all about size. Penis size, that is. We're about to find out. Is it really all about the motion in the ocean, or is it about bigger is really better? Well, like most things in life, it's not a clear-cut black and white situation. There's a lot of gray areas out there, sort of like my love for Ariana Grande. Now, don't get me wrong. I love this little girl right now. Every song she's singing these days, I'm bouncing my head to. I especially love her song, Thank You Next, about all her ex-boyfriends. But you know what? One of her ex-boyfriends, not so fond. You know, we all remember like a couple of months ago, this girl was engaged to Pete Davidson from Saturday Night Live. And apparently her love for him was all about the big old banana in his pants. That's what got her juices flowing. At least that's what she said on Twitter when a fan asked her, how long is Pete? Girls, you know what she said? Like 10 inches. People were like, dang. And while most guys would think this is a huge compliment, Pete Davidson was like, is she trying to like ruin my future sex life? Is she trying to make every woman I'm with in the future disappointed? Like, how do you live up to that type of expectation? So, as we all know, no matter how big Pete Davidson was, it wasn't enough to keep those two together. So let's take a quick reality check and remind ourselves there's a lot more to long-lasting great sex than size. But since we're on the topic, let's see what some other ladies had to say about it. You know what? Overall, most women do not care about size that much. At least that's what they tell me. In general, women rate men with bigger penises as more attractive, but if a man is at least 3 inches long when he's not erect, most women can make it work when he is erect. Yeah, you heard that. So while women really do like men with bigger penises, once he reaches 3 inches when he's soft, it's going to be fine when he's erect. Women are about to get on with that. And you know what? It is not all about length. So stop measuring just the length, guys. Girth or width tends to be more important when it comes to female satisfaction. So guys, this is one area where it is okay to have a fatty. Look, I work out at Equinox and we have these fat sausages for the inner thigh work that we do in one of our classes. And let me tell you, there is not a class that goes by where one of the hot young things in there doesn't make a remark about squeezing the fat sausage between their thighs. So I know ladies do love a fatty. And here's another fun fact. A recent study had 41 pretty young things, and by that I mean women, examine different penis sizes. And they used 3D blueprint models to do so. And the ladies were asked to choose one for a long-term relationship and one for a one-time session. And get this, the ladies who were longer and wider for their the ladies who wanted men who were longer and wider, well, they only wanted them for a one-night stand. And when they were thinking about long-term relationships, they actually chose men who were slightly smaller, if you will. So I guess we're not willing to get stretched out for a lifetime, but we might get stretched out for a night. Now, their preference for a one-time sex partner was they actually, on average, chose a length of 6.4 inches and a girth of 5 inches. That's huge compared to what they wanted for a long-term gig. Now, the long-term gig was only slightly smaller, 6.3 inches, and a width or a girth of 4.8 inches. But the point is, think about 5 inches round, ladies. You really want that in you for the rest of your life, or at least for a really long time? A lot of ladies were like, no, we're going to need something a little less wide, okay? And this makes total sense, though. because more girth in his goods is associated with bringing the clitoris closer to the vagina. So of course, for their one night stands where ladies really wanted to be like, pow, wow, that was the most amazing sex I ever had, they wanted a really wide guy because they knew that that wideness was going to bring the clitoris closer to their vagina. And then you know what that does? That really helps with orgasm. The closer the clitoris is to the vaginal opening, the more likely it'll feel sensation with every single stroke. Yes. And the more sensation on the clitoris, the more explosive the orgasm. Booyah. And the funny thing is, women are just like men in terms of estimating penis size. They often overestimate. This study, which had women choosing a penis, found that women overestimated the penis size of the model they had actually chosen. Now, I say women overestimating penis size is similar to men because whenever I tell a man the average penis size is about 5 inches when erect, they all feel really, really good. They usually smile at me. They pull up their pants like they're like kind of falling down, and they start showing me with their body language that they're definitely not average. Now, erect lengths very rarely get over 6 inches long. But apparently, whenever I tell a man that 5 inches is the average, they think, well, I must be way, way, way over average. But you know what? Fact is, only about 3% of men are over 6 inches when erect. That means just about every man I've ever spoken to believes his penis is in the top 3%. Erect circumference, that means your girth. Now, the erect width, on average, is about 4.7 inches. And very few men are wider than that. You get that? Very few. So remember that this data might not really be precise, right? Because like, what scientists are going to get all these men to come in for their penis measurements? Seriously, let's get real, people. Are you volunteering? Most of the volunteers are probably like really well endowed. But the reality is there's no way the scientific community, and remember, I'm part of the scientific community as a professor at the University of Miami, at the School of Medicine. All I do is sex research all day. And no matter how much money I give to my research participants, none have volunteered to come in and get their penis measured. Okay, so wherever this data is coming from, just understand it's very limited and probably doesn't represent you, Mr. Man who's listening with your 6.7 inches penis, right? Now, what do you do if you want a bigger penis, right? Now, step one, this is always going to be step one in your Dr. Sonjia classes. Work on your oral sex skills. Seriously, because the vast majority of women cannot climax from penetration alone. Yes, you heard me. Penile penetration by itself doesn't do it for most women. So you better bring some other skills to the party. And if you can help a woman have an orgasm before you enter her, she is much more likely to have an orgasm while you are inside of her. That first orgasm, you know what it does? It gets her juices going. And remember, women are incredible phenomenons, capable of coming more times than you can stroke. So why not use your tongue and your imagination for even better, for even better and more and frequent, and definitely use her instructions if she's willing to give them. But what I'm saying is, be a gentleman. Give her a few extra O's before you get inside of her, right? Do the damn thing, dude. Another thing you can do that's super easy is something I talk about all the time. Penis sleeves. You can just pop on a girth enhancing sleeve or a length enhancing sleeve, or you know what? You can get a sleeve that can make you wider and longer, and booyah, instantly you got a bigger banana to work with, right? Boom. And yes, of course, like everything else, especially in Miami, there are surgeries. But you know what? Surgeries are not magic. Now, you can insert a large rubber silicone. You can have a liposuction transfer, taking fat from one area to the other. You can do a dermal skin transfer. You can do an implant, a prosthetic implant, but these have lots of risks and there's no guarantee. It's sort of like, when you buy drugs from a drug dealer, you can't get a refund if it's bad, right? So when if you get a bad penis, what you gonna do? Go back to your surgeon and say, my penis is bad? He can't make it right. It doesn't matter how much money you paid. So just know there's serious risk, especially in terms of functioning. These are some very, very sensitive nerves down there. You don't wanna mess with all that. But if you do, just know, do your research if you're gonna get a surgery and make sure you're with a physician who has lots of reviews. And you know what I do? And remember, I am a sex doctor who works in a hospital, the largest medical center in Miami. What you need to do is you need to talk to prior patients to make sure you are getting the best treatment possible. You want to make sure all the other people who got penis surgeries aren't sitting there pissed off. You know what I'm saying? Now, there's a new experimental method that's really exciting, and it's a non-surgical, and it doesn't even require anesthesia, and it can be kind of done during your lunch hour. Although, after you have anything kind of done with your penis at a doctor's office, I suggest you take the rest of the afternoon off. But this procedure involves inserting a collagen layering activation filler material into the penis, just beneath the penile skin. And after the material has been inserted, your body will be stimulated to produce your own natural collagen. Now, collagen, that's what keeps us young. That's what women always want in our faces to make us look, like we're 22 forever. But collagen is a protein that your own skin, tendons, and bones are made of. And this newly formed permanent collagen is what causes the penis to grow, people. And this collagen that your body is going to grow after this injection, it is actually natural because your body's growing it. And that means it's also permanent. Now, this is still very experimental. So you heard what I just said. Maybe you need to take this podcast and play it for your doctor if that's something you're interested in. But it's very experimental. And remember, we said you always want to talk to a doctor's previous patients. You don't want your penis to be the first time that they do something, right? Now, the penis, once it's enlarged by this collagen procedure, now, of course, what you're going to do with your penis? You're going to do the damn thing, right? So a lot, the stress from sexual intercourse and the stress from all that penetration, one of the risks is it might displace your new collagen that your body's actually growing on its own. Too much masturbation, too much sex. And sometimes if your sexual activity is above average, there might be some subtle shifts in this new collagen material that your body has developed. And of course, that will require some more doctoral intervention. So again, this is very experimental, this new treatment. And you definitely want to talk to your doctor about it, play this podcast for them. And they should be able to give you a lot more information than we're covering today. Okay. But you know what, guys? The main point that I really want to convey is do not lose your mind. Do not go nuts trying to get a bigger penis. It is much more valuable and cheaper to work on your sex skills. Plus, there's actually lots of women who don't want a penis that's too big. Remember that study we spoke about earlier where women chose smaller guys to marry than they did for a one-night stand? And speaking of which, let's talk about having sex with these guys who are just too dang big, because there are quite a few of them out there, right? You love him, but having sex with him is just a little painful and not in a good way. It's not like your 50 Shades of Grey good pain, right? It's some bad pain like, ooh, I want to have fun having sex with him, but his penis hurts every time it pushes against my cervix. That's the deepest part of you, ladies. So when it's pushing too hard against it, you're like, ow, are you done yet? So, once again, we're at my favorite part of the show, the sex script, where yours truly, Dr. Sonjia, I'm about to give you a sexual prescription for all the people who have and love big old penises. As usual, step 1 is to work on your foreplay and your oral skills. If your tongue is half as big as your penis, you're going to be all right, brother. I promise you. And 2, ladies, you need to learn how to use your hands to protect your kitty cat from too much bruising. You can put your hands at the base of his penis when he's entering you, so he's getting a little hug from your hands, and it also gives you some control for how far he can enter you. Just squeeze tight to stop him from going in too far. And this is an especially good tip when it comes to oral sex. If he's too damn big to take in fully or even fit your mouth around, you need to use your hands simultaneously at the base or lower down on his shaft at the bottom part of his penis. This way you can control how deep he goes, and you also should try to experiment with different hand and mouth stroking methods. You know what I'm saying? Combine your techniques because it feels pretty nicey and spicy from what my friends with a penis have told me. Now, ladies and gentlemen with a big penis, you can also use a cock ring to decrease the length of his shaft. Now, the purpose of a cock ring is to restrict blood flow by keeping blood in the penis. And the added bonus or curse, depending on your situation, is that cock rings help make the penis harder and stay harder for longer. So you got to decide if that's the right solution for you. And don't forget our always wonderful adjunct to every sexual experience, lube, lube, lube. Yes, baby, the wetter the better. If you have any pain during penetration, you need to lube it up, okay? Moisturize, girl. And do not ever, ever, ever forget position. Positions matter. If it's painful, you need to find a new position. Now, if length is the main issue, try positions that allow for full thrusting but shallow penetration. Now, you can do this if you're spooning, like that means you're laying down on your side and he's right behind you, or you can have him enter you while you're flat on your stomach. Now, flat on your back could also work, but it works a little bit better if you keep your legs together. And also, you might find some great clit stimulation this way too, which means every time he enters you, your clitoris gets stimulated, and booyah, you know, that adds a little extra sensation for you. That might make it a little more tolerable to take in the big guy. And you know what, ladies? Get on top. What? Whether you're on a bed or a chair. Now, this is really worthwhile because you can control the depth of how deep you go on top of him, right? And remember, the more that your pelvis is tilted, the deeper he can go. So avoid slinging your feet over his shoulders or popping your butt up with the pillows. You know what I'm saying? That's a fun position for guys with smaller penises. But if your penis is too big, do not put her legs over your shoulders. That's just asking for pain. So bam, there you have it. How to have explosive orgasms with the owner of an oversized penis. I hope you had fun hanging out with me and learning a little something about the man with a major penis. And don't forget our takeaways from today. They are: the average penis is about 5 inches long, and very few men are over 6 inches when erect. Okay, I know you are, boo, listening to me, but you know what? Most of your boys are not. Also remember, there's quite a few surgical and non-surgical procedures available for men who really want to increase their size. Some of you can get on Amazon and do some searching. Grab yourself a girth-enhancing sleeve, and if you got Prime, it's going to be here in 2 days. And you know what? Others of you might choose to get into an operating room to get an implant or something like that. But remember, please speak to your doctor and please do your research with their prior patients before you lay on that surgery, okay? Ladies like a nice full penis. That's the truth. But too much can be painful. Now, if that's your situation, there's many options to make sex more enjoyable. You can change positions, change lubes, add lubes, use your hands to control the motion of the ocean, making sure his shark, doesn't swim too deep. I'm Dr. Sonjia, and that's the nitty-gritty on penis size. For your daily dose of nooky knowledge, you better check me out on all the social media networks. That's DRSONJIA, Dr. Sonjia, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. Let's link up. I had so much fun hanging out with you, and I can't wait to see you soon at Sex in South Beach, where everyone comes for happier, healthier sex.